But then we were whisked off to FedEx and spent many, many hours at the FedEx facility. Got a great tour, a real behind-the-scenes glimpse of how packages get from here to all parts of the world. And it's amazingly choreographed, down to the minute. I mean, they measure their performance down to the minute in terms of the arrival of planes and how fast they're able to get them loaded up. It's veritable city that comes alive at night with thousands and thousands of people. But FedEx has it down to a science, but the company, like its competitors, and I have to mention one of its big competitors because it was founded in Seattle, Washington, even though it's no longer in Seattle. You know, those guys that wear the brown uniforms and have the brown trucks. But anyway, FedEx and its competitors want more work. They want more work. And that's why Ambassador Kirk and I are here today to talk to you about how do we help those small and medium-sized companies, like many of you here, ship more of your products and services around the world, sell more of your great stuff around the world, providing more revenue for you, ensuring your profitability, enabling you to hire more people, and at the same time give more business to companies like FedEx and its competitors. So it's a win-win proposition. You grow, FedEx and its competitors grow. Because what we do know is that the more you export, the more you produce. The more you produce, the more people you hire. And that means jobs, good-paying jobs. And the people of Tennessee already see how this formula works in their daily lives. Tennessee exports merchandise in 2009 totaled $20.5 billion. You're the 16th largest exporting state in America. And export-supported jobs associated with manufacturing in Tennessee accounted for some 6.5% of your employment. And as I said, these are good-paying jobs because on average, export-related jobs pay 15% more than the typical wage in the United States. And we need a lot more of those jobs here in Tennessee and all around the nation. And indeed, here at Smith and Nephew, and I have to tell you, I have a little bit of an affinity for Smith and Nephew. My daughter broke her hip about a year and a half ago. She was crashed into by a snowboarder just as we were about to get into the chairlift line, and had to have major surgery on her hip. And I think a lot of the devices that were used to put and heal her bones together for 6 months were made here at Smith & Nephew. But over the last 10 years, exports here have multiplied by a factor of 4, have quadrupled. And indeed, I'm told that these exports, and as Chris was saying, are roughly half of what you make here or make at Smith & Nephew in the United States is exported, sold around the world. But that has brought in about $500 million in sales every single year. And that's a lot of money and a lot of jobs for the people of Memphis. But let me say that, as Ambassador Kirk said, the President has announced a goal of doubling U.S. exports over the next 5 years, the National Export Initiative, to double exports over the next 5 years, supporting millions of new jobs, good-paying jobs. As the Ambassador indicated, only 1% of U.S. companies now export. But of that 1%, 58% export to only one country. 58% of all companies that export to only one country, typically Canada or Mexico. And these are primarily small and medium-sized companies. So if we can just help that 58% export to 2 or 3 more countries, we would significantly grow our exports and increase jobs. And of course, a big partner of that is FedEx, UPS, and even the U.S. Postal Service. And we're working with companies like FedEx to identify some of its best customers, people who are small, medium-sized companies that have a great potential to export. And we're partnering to bring the services and inform those companies of the services, most of it free, at the Department of Commerce, to help those medium and small-sized companies find more customers and markets around the world. That's just one small part of the National Export Initiative. And here's something else that it do. First of all, it will expand the United States export promotion efforts in all of its forms, with a special focus, as I said, on small and medium-sized companies. And that can mean a lot of things. It could actually mean commercial officers advising Tennessee-based NukeSafe on how to work with the Departments of Defense and Energy so it can actually fill and get a $4 million contract for radiation detection devices in England. Or it's our Memphis Export Assistance Center. And by the way, we have 3 Export Assistance Centers here in Tennessee. But it also means our Export Assistance Center introducing Memphis-based Kelly company to partners in Mexico so that Kelly can expand its sales of temperature-controlled devices to Mexico. Do we have someone here from Kelly? I believe we have someone here from Kelly. There you are. Great. Thank you very much. Anybody here from NukeSafe? Right? Nope. Too far away. So, wait. Did I see that hand? All right. Great. Well, you know, I want to also indicate that we have not just 3 export assistance centers in Tennessee, but we have export assistance centers in every state, cities throughout America. But you don't have to, so you don't have to go to, let's say, Hungary or Poland to find customers for your products and services. You go to your export assistance center, let's say in Memphis. They'll also look at your product or your service and say, wow, we actually think there's a great market, great potential for your product in, let's say, Hungary. And then they will contact our foreign trade specialists and our foreign commercial service officers in, let's say, Budapest. And those folks in Budapest, sole job is to find buyers and customers for made-in-USA products and services. They'll actually, well, under one program that FedEx is a great partner of, the Gold Key program, they'll actually, let's say, look up and find, let's say, 10 potential customers and buyers for your product and service. And they'll do the due diligence. Is this a reputable company? Will they pay you on time? Can you trust them? And are they legit? And then you go to Budapest. You sit in the room of the embassy or the consulate of our Commerce Department office, and we'll bring those 10 potential buyers to you for 30 minutes every half hour. It's almost like speed dating. You just sit there, we'll bring them to you, all right? And I can tell you so many companies have said they have found so many of their customers and buyers from this process. And that's a great opportunity, because the sole job of these folks in our more than 80 countries, hundreds of cities around the world, is to find buyers and customers for made-in-USA products and services. The second thing that the National Export Initiative will actually help improve access to credit through the Export-Import Bank, making sure that you can get paid by that foreign buyer or customer so that they'll extend that credit and guarantee payments from those buyers of yours. And finally, under the National Export Initiative, we're going to increase the government's focus on knocking down those barriers that prevent U.S. companies from getting free and fair access to foreign markets. And that's primarily what Ambassador Kirk does. But it's really important to note that what sets the National Export Initiative apart is that this is the first time the United States will have a government-wide export promotion strategy with focused attention from the President and all of his cabinet officials. And we're already seeing results, and we're seeing great payoffs from the National Export Initiative since the President announced it a year ago. Our renewed focus on trade promotion has helped lead to an 18% increase in exports so far this year compared to the year before. In fact, exports of manufactured goods are up 22%. Exports of agricultural products are the second highest in U.S. history, with a trade surplus of $30 billion, and next year is expected to be even better. And as exports grow, so too will the payrolls of American companies. Ambassador Kirk indicated the great brand of American products. There's a great hunger and desire for made-in-USA products and services. Made-in-America products and services are in great demand and highly valued. And there are enormous needs all around the world, not just in medical devices or medical equipment, but to food, to engineering, to high-tech equipment, to providing electricity, or simply cleaning up polluted rivers and streams and providing safe drinking water. And we in America have the great companies and the know-how that make these great products and services, so it's a win-win. Raising the standard of living and the quality of life in people, whether it's in Africa or in China, where 50% of the people live in rural areas and have almost no refrigeration, and want and have aspirations for a better lifestyle. It's a win-win because we're raising the standard of living for the people in other countries, and creating jobs for the people here at home in America. You know, since January, our Commerce Department's Advocacy Center, in close partnership with the State Department and other federal agencies, have helped, for instance, U.S. companies successfully compete for contracts with foreign governments. And we've been able to help those companies secure almost $13 billion of export-related value. And those deals alone have supported some 70,000 jobs here in the United States. For our economy to return to full health, we need to focus on exports as part of the strategy. And indeed, as the ambassador indicated, it has contributed virtually to half of the rebound of the economy so far in the last 4 quarters of GDP growth. Virtually half of the GDP growth in the United States has been because of exports over the last 4 quarters. And that's what Ambassador Kirk and I and other members of the Cabinet are focused on. How do we grow jobs in the United States? Yes, there are positive signs all across the economy, but it is still too slow. Too many millions of people out of work, too many people worried. And that's why we've got to really help American companies grow and expand. Because again, the more we can help you export, the more you produce. The more you produce, the more people you hire. And that means jobs, good paying jobs. So we're here to hear from you as to what else we can do to help you. Because again, the more we can help you export, the more you produce. The more you produce, the more people you hire. And that means jobs, good paying jobs. So we're here to hear from you as to what else we can do to help you sell more of your Made in USA products and services all around the world. And any ideas, any questions that you have, that's what we're here for. So thank you very much.